History's greatest conquerors, Napoleon Bonaparte and Genghis Khan. If these two titans met on the field of battle, who would emerge victorious? It's the matchup that sparked bar debates and Reddit threads for years. On one side, the Corsican genius who dominated Europe and rewrote military doctrine. On the other, the steppe warrior who built the largest contiguous empire in human history. 6 centuries separate them, but the question remains irresistible. Who was the better commander? Here's the thing. To make this a fair fight, we need ground rules. Both commanders get equal numbers of troops, same terrain, same technology. No tanks, no cannons, no muskets. Just swords, bows, horses, and human genius. We're stripping away the technological advantages and focusing on what matters. Leadership, tactics, adaptability, psychological warfare. The question isn't who had better weapons. It's whose genius wins the day. So how do we judge this clash of legends? We're evaluating both commanders across 5 critical dimensions. Army organization and logistics. How did they structure their forces and keep them supplied? Tactical brilliance on the battlefield. Could they adapt under pressure and seize fleeting opportunities? Leadership and morale. Did they inspire loyalty and extract peak performance from their troops? Psychological warfare. How did they break enemy will before the first arrow flew? And strategic philosophy. Did they seek the knockout blow or play the long game? By the end of this video, you'll have the evidence. But the verdict? That's up to you. Let's meet our contenders. First, Napoleon Bonaparte. Born on Corsica in 1769, this minor nobleman rose to become Emperor of France and master of Europe. Between 1805 and 1815, his Grande Armée dominated the continent through a series of campaigns that military academies still study today. Napoleon didn't just win battles, he revolutionized warfare itself. His core system, his use of artillery, his lightning maneuvers. The man took the chaos of revolutionary France and forged it into an unstoppable war machine. At Austerlitz in 1805, he crushed a larger Austro-Russian army by feigning weakness on his right flank, luring them into overextending, then shattering their center with devastating precision. 60,000 enemy casualties. That's what Napoleonic genius looked like. Now meet Genghis Khan. Born as Temujin around 1162 into the brutal world of the Mongolian steppes, he united warring tribes through a combination of brilliance, ruthlessness, and charisma. Then, he turned that unified force outward. In just 25 years, his armies conquered more territory than the Romans did in 400. From Korea to Hungary, the largest contiguous land empire in human history. Genghis didn't win through sheer numbers. He perfected cavalry warfare, psychological terror, and intelligence gathering into an art form. Cities that resisted were annihilated as object lessons. Cities that surrendered immediately were spared. The choice was always clear. And here's the terrifying part. His enemies kept falling for the same tricks. The feigned retreat, the sudden encirclement. European armies at Liegnitz in 1241 pursued what looked like a fleeing Mongol force, only to be surrounded and destroyed. It worked again and again. So how did these two geniuses organize their armies? Napoleon's Grande Armée used the revolutionary corps d'armée system. Each corps contained 20 to 40,000 men. Infantry, cavalry, artillery, and logistics, all under one marshal-level commander. These weren't just divisions. They were miniature, self-sufficient armies that could operate independently or converge rapidly for major battles. At full strength, Napoleon fielded between 200,000 and 600,000 troops, roughly half infantry, a quarter cavalry, and the rest artillery. It was a balanced combined arms force that could march 15 to 50 kilometers per day while living off the land, avoiding vulnerable supply trains. Genghis Khan took a completely different approach. The Mongol army used the elegant decimal system. Units of 10 warriors called an arban. 10 arbans made a 100-man jagan. 10 jagans formed a 1,000-warrior mingan. And 10 mingans created a tumen, a division of 10,000. This precise hierarchy allowed for command and control across vast distances. But here's where it gets interesting. 95% of the Mongol army was cavalry, horse archers and lancers, minimal infantry, and each warrior maintained 3 to 5 horses, ensuring constant remounts. That meant the Mongol army could cover up to 100 kilometers per day, double Napoleon's pace. They weren't just fast, they were a cavalry tsunami that could appear, strike, and vanish before enemies could react. Let's talk tactics. Napoleon practiced what military historians call the strategy of annihilation: speed, surprise, and concentrated force. He excelled at the central position strategy, maneuvering between separated enemy armies to defeat them one by one before they could unite. At Ulm in 1805, he trapped an entire Austrian army through rapid flanking movements. 60,000 men surrendered without even fighting a major battle. In actual combat, Napoleon used the order mixed, a flexible combination of infantry columns for shock assault and lines for maximum firepower.
Skirmishers would harass the enemy, while massed artillery, sometimes 100 guns, concentrated on a single point, would blast holes in enemy formations. Then infantry columns would charge through those gaps, while cavalry swept the flanks and pursued broken enemies. It required precision, timing, and coordination. But when it worked, it was devastating.
Genghis Khan's tactics prioritized something else entirely: mobility, deception, and psychological devastation. The Mongols perfected the feigned retreat. They'd appear to flee in disarray, luring pursuing enemies into killing zones where hidden reserves would surround and annihilate them. Mongol horse archers could fire accurately while galloping at full speed, unleashing arrow storms that literally darkened the sky, then wheeling away before counterattacks could reach them. The Mangudai, elite scouts and vanguard units, would harass enemy flanks and supply lines while gathering intelligence on enemy movements and morale. The Mongols didn't seek decisive battles unless the conditions heavily favored them. They'd exhaust enemies through constant harassment, then strike when victory was assured. Leadership philosophies reveal even deeper contrasts. Napoleon commanded through centralized control and personal magnetism. He led from the front, personally surveying battlefields and dictating orders at a ferocious pace. His marshals enjoyed considerable autonomy to execute corps-level operations, but major strategic decisions remained Napoleon's alone. This worked brilliantly when Napoleon was present, but it could fail catastrophically when he wasn't, or when subordinates misunderstood his intent. Napoleon inspired fanatical loyalty through personal charisma and the revolutionary promise of meritocracy. Every soldier carries a marshal's baton in his knapsack. That was the dream he sold. Talent, not birth, determined advancement. Genghis Khan built a meritocratic system too, but structured it differently. He promoted commanders based on proven ability in battle and fostered unity through blood brotherhood ceremonies and shared hardship. His leadership style was more decentralized. He'd establish strategic objectives and expect his generals to achieve them using their own judgment. Mongol discipline was brutal. Entire units could be executed for cowardice. But rewards were generous. All warriors shared in the plunder. This created an army motivated by both fear and opportunity. And critically, the system didn't collapse when Genghis died. His successors continued conquering for decades because the command structure was distributed, not dependent on one man's genius. Psychological warfare? This is where Genghis Khan becomes truly terrifying. The Mongols deliberately cultivated a reputation for merciless brutality. They'd offer cities a choice: surrender immediately and be spared, resist and face total annihilation. Cities that resisted would see their entire populations massacred as object lessons to others. This terror strategy saved Mongol lives. Often cities surrendered without a fight. The Mongols also ran sophisticated intelligence networks, sending merchants and spies ahead to gather information on enemy politics, military strength, and internal divisions. They understood that warfare extended beyond the battlefield. It was fundamentally about breaking enemy will. Napoleon understood this too, inspiring revolutionary fervor and personal loyalty. But his psychological warfare was about motivation, not terror. He made his soldiers believe they were part of something glorious. Genghis made his enemies believe resistance was suicide. So here's where it gets complicated. The winner depends heavily on the scenario. Terrain matters enormously. On open plains favoring cavalry maneuver, the Mongols have devastating advantages. Their mobility lets them choose engagements, refuse battle when disadvantageous, and exhaust French infantry through constant harassment. Napoleon's infantry squares could withstand cavalry charges, but Mongol horse archers wouldn't need to charge. They'd circle at distance, raining arrows until French formations collapsed from attrition. But on broken terrain, with forests or hills limiting cavalry movement, or with defensive positions anchored on towns or rivers, Napoleon's combined arms expertise shines. His artillery could devastate cavalry formations. Disciplined infantry could hold positions against mounted assaults. Campaign length matters too. In a single decisive battle on favorable ground, Napoleon's battlefield genius might prevail. The man had an almost supernatural ability to read the battlefield and seize fleeting opportunities. But in an extended campaign across varied terrain, Mongol mobility and logistics would prove insurmountable. Here's something interesting. Mongol warriors could drink horse blood mixed with milk on campaigns, traveling days without stopping. That's a logistical advantage Napoleon never possessed, despite his famous quote about armies marching on their stomachs. And the Mongol Yam intelligence system could deliver messages 300 kilometers daily, faster than Napoleon's couriers, giving Genghis superior battlefield awareness. Then there are the wild cards. Napoleon's grand battery could mass over 100 cannons at a single point, devastating firepower. But those guns required vulnerable ammunition wagons that Mongol raiders would easily target. Who adapts faster under pressure? Napoleon's coup d'oeil, his battlefield glance, was legendary. But Genghis proved equally adaptable, conquering radically different enemies from the Chinese Jin dynasty to Eastern European kingdoms, adjusting tactics for each. Against fortified Chinese cities, he recruited Chinese engineers to build siege weapons. In forested European terrain, Mongols dismounted to fight as archers. And here's a critical factor. Napoleon's genius arguably declined after 1809 as overconfidence set in. Genghis Khan remained ruthlessly adaptive until his death. So who wins? The honest answer? It depends on the battlefield, the rules, and a bit of luck. In a single decisive engagement on mixed terrain with prepared defenses, I'd lean toward Napoleon. His combined arms coordination and artillery firepower could overwhelm even the most mobile cavalry. But in a campaign of maneuver across open terrain, with time to implement psychological warfare and intelligence operations, The smart money's on Genghis Khan. The Mongols conquered enemies who'd never seen them before, and enemies who knew their tactics and still couldn't stop them. That's a special kind of terrifying, but here's the beautiful truth. Both men were products of their time, who transcended their eras. Napoleon took the nation-state and revolutionary ideology and turned them into instruments of conquest. Genghis took the harsh realities of steppe warfare and scaled them to continental domination. They both understood that victory requires more than tactics. It demands understanding your enemy's psychology, exploiting their weaknesses, and imposing your strengths on the battlefield. That's what made them legendary. Now it's your turn. Who do you think would win? And more importantly, why? Are you Team Napoleon, betting on combined arms genius and artillery firepower? Or Team Genghis Khan, counting on mobility, psychological warfare, and strategic patience? Cast your vote in the comments. Defend your champion with historical evidence. And if you think I missed a critical factor or got something wrong, let me know. This is the kind of debate that historians have been having for decades. There's no wrong answer, just compelling arguments. So let's hear yours. And if you want to see more historical matchups like this, let me know who else you'd like to see face off. History's full of titans. Let's see how they measure up.